How's it going, everybody? This is Jaron. I'm here going to help you learn, like the front page said there, how to create a game frame while streaming in OBS. So we're working with the open broadcast software. That's going to be the one that I use. I'm sure some other people use it as well. This is not a definitive guide on how to do this. This is my way, basically. I'm by no means an expert in this software. I'm by no means an expert in broadcasting software, but and I am still fairly new to this, but I do know that a lot of people also want to know how to do this. I think it's pretty cool personally. I kind of work in the field of communications and as well as video communications, so this kind of stuff's fun for me. So we're going to jump right in and we're going to start talking about how to get this done. So got my desktop here. I've still got my Stream It icon here on the top of the video. You're going to have to just deal with that. So the first thing right off the bat we're going to talk about, here's our OBS icon. I've got it in a fence here. So for OBS Studio, you have two ways of opening this. Now the first way is running with graphics processor, your NVIDIA processor. The second way is going to be with your integrated graphics processor. Now your integrated graphics processor is going to be the only method if you want to do a full monitor capture. Okay, so if you're hooked up to, like me, two nice big 32-inch monitors, you're going to have to run integrated graphics to get your monitor capture. Now for gaming, I kind of balances out depending on which game you got, which graphics card you got, but we're going to go ahead and go with the NVIDIA processor for this round so that we can get our game captured in here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it and get it opened up. It's this is just telling me that I've already got a stream or an OBS window open. I want to launch that anyways. And as you'll see down here on my start bar, I've already got Photoshop open, I've already got OBS open, I've already got Overwatch open. Overwatch is the game that we're going to be playing with today. And I'm going to go ahead and delete a bunch of stuff here because we don't need all of this. This is just stuff that I've already got set up. Alright, we're going to rename this back to Scene 1 because this is going to be our starting point. Alright, so we are reset back to our starting point. So if you look down at our panel down here, we of course have our main screen. This is going to be what we're streaming. You can ignore this. This is something that my graphics card puts on there as an overlay as for frames per second. Down here we have our scenes panel. We have our sources panel. We have our mixer, which is our audio mixer. We have our scene transitions, and then we have our controls. So first thing I'll show you real quick is just for settings, just for streaming. If you come in here and you go into your stream settings, this is going to be what you'd put in for your RTMP stream. Okay, RTMP being your real-time media protocol. That's going to be the protocol that's used for live streaming. You also have your stream key, which your provider will give you. YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, whoever it is that you're using, they'll give you a personalized key that will be used to authenticate you to that stream. There are, of course, other settings in here that you can tweak around with, play with, do whatever you want. So we're going to jump right in here in the scenes. I personally prefer to set everything up in scenes so that you can adjust one specific thing without screwing up your entire scene already. You know what I mean? So first thing we're going to do is we're going to come in here. We're going to call this our web. Let's do this to a standard. We're going to call this scene. We'll call it our webcam scene. We'll put scene there at the end. I'm a standards guy. You don't have to do it this way, but this is the way that I do it. Webcam scene. We're going to have our Stream It. If I can type today. Banner scene. So we got our webcam scene, our Stream It banner scene. We're going to have our game capture scene. And then we're going to have our frame scene. Alrighty, so let's come in here to each source. First, we're going to start out with our webcam scene. So we have to hit our sources panel next. This is going to be where we actually have our elements. So we're going to go ahead and hit that plus sign. We're going to go down to, where is it? Video capture device. So that's going to be me right now. So we're going to call this our webcam capture. Alrighty. We're going to pick our HD camera. Again, this is going to be me. Now, we're not going to really see this right now because I have it already open over here on this side. So I'm going to take myself off of the main recording here so that we can see me in here. Well, apparently that doesn't work because I've already got this one going. You can, it kind of gets touchy sometimes. It'll only work one way or the other if you have multiple instances of OBS running. So we're just going to go ahead and skip past this. What I'm going to do in the meantime is I'm going to take an image and put it in its place so that you just kind of get the idea of what we're looking at here. Let's go into my OneDrive, and actually I should probably not show you all my OneDrive. So let's go into my pictures, and I'm just going to pick one of me as a stand-in for my actual webcam. Oh, I know where a good one is. Voila. Not exactly the proper dimensions. Will just kind of squish me down and say this is roughly the size of a webcam. I'm going to go ahead and place it in the right spot on the screen that I want it. You don't have to do that. You could just stick it up here in the middle of the screen, but for convenience sake, I'm going to put it right there in the middle. Now, again, only reason it's not showing up here is because I've got another instance of OBS running. Normally that would work. So I've got a stand-in image in its place. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and add in our Stream It banner. Now, I already kind of showed you how to do this one. It's just going to be in the images. We're going to call this our Stream It banner. Now, of course, you can do anything you want with this. You can make text, which there is a text option in there. You could do any kind of banner, any kind of image that you want. I personally am going to go with our Stream It banner. Now, one thing I will point out about this Stream It banner, as I've got this open in Photoshop, is you can see here that there's no background in our Stream It banner. This is just straight across. I could add a background in there, but then if I did that, I wouldn't be able to put any kind of color I want. If you see in our video here, the main video that you're looking at right up here, you'll see the Stream It as it shows Photoshop behind it. It's opaque. The opacity is all the way down because there's no background on it. And then when I save that, I save as, and I save it as a PNG. That PNG is going to give us that transparent background. So that's what we're going to save this banner for, as well as our frame for once we get to that. So for the moment, we're going to go ahead and minus this down. We're going to say OK. And we're going to bring this over to the center of our stream for the moment. We'll get to that later. Since this is transparent, it can be anywhere. Alright, so we're going to come over to our game capture scene. Next, we're going to go to game capture and our sources. We're going to call this our Overwatch game capture. Alright, so we want to capture a specific window. We're going to go with Overwatch. And depending on your graphics card settings and your game settings, you might have to tweak some of this sometimes. But this should pretty much work straight out of the box. So we're going to adjust this a little bit. We're going to just put it right about here for now. Now, for our frame scene. Our frame's going to be what actually takes a little bit of work. So we're going to reopen Photoshop. And now, I'm using Photoshop. My wife's a photographer. We have this program. I've done graphic design for as long as I can remember. So we pay for the Adobe Cloud Suite. It's like $20 a month for a lot of your basic programs. I think my wife also gets a couple of extras for video and such. But we're just going to use Photoshop. Any image editing software that allows you to save a transparent PNG will work for this. Like I said, I'm using Photoshop, but you don't necessarily have to use Photoshop. So we're going to go in here and we're going to start something new. Now our size is going to be 1920 by 1080. I think I mentioned this to you earlier. Now, of course, this is your standard 1080p size. If you're streaming in 4K or something crazy like that, of course, you would want to adjust these. We're going to name this Stream It Game Frame. Resolution, I'm going to bump that up to 300 is print size, 72 is your standard web resolution. Now video, that's actually new, and I haven't thought about this yet. I'm gonna go with 150. We'll see how that works out. So here you see we have our basic frame. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this background off because we don't want it. Gonna have to unlock it first. Background's off. So this kind of gray and white checkered pattern, that just means that there's no background at all. It's gonna be a transparent background. So I'm gonna start a new layer here. I'm gonna call this our game frame. Now you can go all out with this. This is gonna be pretty simple. I'm gonna start out just by let's pick a color here. I'm gonna kind of go with a grayish color. Now here's the tricky part. So here's where I want to make sure that I get this right. So I'm gonna come over here and I'm going to actually let's just do this. So I'm going to say this is roughly what I'm going to make my... let's do this a different way. I'm also going to... Oh, no. Here's a good way. Since we're already 1920, and we know our game's going to be in a 1920, we're going to take that all the way up, and we're just going to size it down from there. So let's transform selection. And then we're just going to size it down to roughly where we want our game stream to be. So I'm going to say right about here, give us a little bit of an edge on either side. Okay. And we're just going to delete that straight out of there. I just hit the delete button, just so you know. That's how I got that to disappear. Another way of doing that, if you didn't want to hit the delete button, you could right click and you could say layer via cut, and that would cut it out. Copy would just make a layer copy of it. So delete button, same thing. I'm going to hit Control D to deselect. You could also right click and deselect. Now we're going to do the same thing again, and we're going to transform selection again. And we're going to hold shift. I left this out in the first time. You got to hold shift to maintain the ratio, the size ratio here. If I don't hold shift, you can see I can make it however size I want, but if I hold shift, it restricts it to that ratio. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to say right about there, hit enter, and that's going to put us back. So here I'm going to say put me right about here. So that's roughly where I want to be for my camera. I'm going to hit delete again. So now I've got my frame for my game, my frame for my camera, and anything else I want to put in here. If I wanted to put a window of a chat box right here, and then I want my stream it right here, I can do all that, right? So let's just add a little bit of funness to this. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to say let's add a gradient overlay. And you'll see what this does is it just kind of adds a cool little effect. I'm going to go down probably to my luminosity setting. There we go. You know what, I'm even going to kind of put that at a bit of an angle here. Just so it looks kind of cool, you know. I'm going to lower the opacity a bit. Okay. Just kind of play with it a little bit, see how I like it. I think that's pretty good right there. I like that. So I'm going to go with that. And I'm also going to add a bevel here. So let's say do an outer bevel, make that a little, no, inner bevel, sorry. You could do an outer bevel. Not sure I'd necessarily recommend it. Might come out a little strange over your game, because we're going to save this as a PNG, so it actually lay over your game while you're playing it. Wouldn't necessarily recommend it. There's different settings here. Just kind of play around and decide on what you like. I'm going to go with the pillow emboss just for the heck of it. I think I kind of like that. So I'm going to kind of soften that up a little bit. And I'm going to try and play with the contour a little bit. Ooh, don't like that. Ooh, I like where this is going. So let's size that down just a little bit. Let's harden it up a little bit. And then let's change the opacity a little bit. Make my gradient a little stronger. Kind of feed through there. I like where that's going, so I'm going to go with that. So, alright, so enough time spent on that for this video. You can do whatever you want. You can spend as much time as you want on that. You can even put whatever graphical elements you want in that. I'm just going to stick with this basic frame for now. So what I'm going to do, just to tidy this up a bit, I'm going to delete that underlying layer. Now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to save this as... I'm going to put this over in my side real quick so I can build a folder. Actually, you know what? That's good. So I'm going to say new folder. We're going to call this our OBS game frame. All right. So I'm going to go into that folder. I'm going to save it as a PSD so if I ever want to come back and edit this specific frame, I can do that. If I can actually open it up. So I'm going to save it as a PSD first. Okay. And then I'm going to go in here and I'm going to save it as a PNG as well. And again, that PNG is the image format that's going to give us that transparency. So I'm going to name that Stream a Game Frame. Alrighty. So now I'm coming back into OBS. Let me kind of bring that down here. I'm going to go ahead and keep it at this size. So our frame scene, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add image. I'm going to call this our game frame image. All right. So we're going to go into browse. And I'm going to open up our game frame. Select it and open. Now you see, because I made it that 1920 by 1080p, it's going to take up the whole screen automatically. So that's what we want. But you can still see that behind it in the actual frame here, it's still black. It's still our underlying image. So that's where we want to be. So I'm going to go back to our scene 1, and I'm going to start adding all of our elements now. So the first thing I want to add, because I want to add that first, I'm going to add a scene, and I'm going to say our frame scene. So there's our frame. I'm going to go in, I'm going to add scene, and I'm going to add our game capture scene. Where's our game capture? Ah, it's not there. Let's figure out why our game capture stopped working. So I'm going to... Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and remove it here real quick. Yes, I'm sure. Let me make sure I don't have it on mine. Game capture over watch game capture. I'm going to say specific window. I'm going to go back over here to Overwatch. Do believe I need to enable that. There we go. Alrighty. Let's make that, let's go ahead and make that full screen. Go back to our scene 1. Now what we can see here is in our sources, our frame scene is underneath the game capture. Now this is very important because this is layers. It works in layers just like in Photoshop would. So what I got to do is I got to grab my game capture and I got to hit this down arrow right here. This down arrow is going to put it behind there. Now you see, we can't exactly see it properly. So we're going to kind of format it down. And I want to level it out here. And you can use your arrow pad to kind of get it right there. So that's right about there. That's about where I want it. So now I'm going to kind of scale it down right into our frame so we get the full thing. We get the full effect. So now I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to add another scene. I'm going to add my webcam scene. Now in this case, again, keep in mind, I've got my image in here as my game capture, as my webcam capture. Now you see I can pull my whole frame around because I put it in there in its own scene rather than its own individual element. Again, that's a personal preference. You don't have to do it like that. You can just put the source in directly into this scene that we're using right now if you wanted. I personally would prefer to do it about like this. And then I'm going to, again, drop that down, put it back behind there. And actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to straighten me back out so that I look all right over here. Again, this webcam is a stand-in. This is not an actual webcam because my webcam's actually in the top corner of your stream right about there. That's me right up there. So you can't have the webcam in two instances of OBS at the same time. So I'm just going to have this image stand-in of me. So we're going to come down here. We're going to add a scene again as another source, and we're going to have our stream it banner. Now we see our stream it banner ended up right about here. We're going to bring him down. And you know what I'm going to do? I want him to be a little bit bigger. So I'm going to say you size up. Come back to my scene. And see he's a little too big on here now. So I'm going to size him back down a little bit. Stream it. Join us on Facebook. All right. Now, so some people use chat boxes. Now, there's a couple of ways that you could do this. Now, I'm going to, you see over here, I have this Restream chat. What this one is, Restream.io. It allows you to add multiple chat boxes to your Restream. You can Restream through Restream. Restream through Restream. So here you have our chat box. So this is going to live over on this monitor while I play games over here. So I'm going to resize this guy. And I'm going to make him about like that. And you know what? I'm just going to add this guy in. You know what? I'm going to, just to show you that you can do it, I'm going to make this, click, just a source right in through here. I'm going to say this is going to be our game chat, or I'm going to say Restream chat window capture. And look at that, it caught it right up off the back. So I'm going to say okay. I'm going to say, let's put you at about here. Let's, you know what, let's resize this actual window. Boom. There we go. So now, we have a nice looking little frame here. I can come over here and start playing Overwatch. And, where am I? Back. I can start playing my game. And you'll, it's a nice little frame. I know a lot of people like to see this. A lot of people use these frames. Now, there is another way of doing this, of course, using individual boxes. And I'll go ahead and just show you that. If we didn't want to use the frame that we have here, I could make a manual frame. So I'm going to go ahead and add a scene here. Manual frame. Now, again, we're going to come in here with our color source. Where is it? Color source, right there. So I'm going to choose my color source. I'm going to say frame. Oh, I'm not typing over here. There we go. Frame gray. Okie dokie. And I'm going to make this gray. We'll go a little bit darker now. We'll go about here. So again, you'll see that it's holding that size. If I just hold the shift button, it'll allow me to go whatever size I want. And so the thing about this is if you just wanted a plain screen, this is perfect. Go back to scene 1. Let's take our frame scene off. Turn that off. And you'll see when we do that, it kind of makes it a little weird here with that webcam sitting underneath that. But let's go to our scene, add that in. And we're going to say our manual frame. And we want to knock that back down to where it belongs. And now the difference here, because we don't have a cutout for our game, is we're actually going to have to move our game up or just move the frame down below. Same with our webcam, which at this point we are going to have to readjust again. Oh, wrong thing. Let me pull that back out. That was our wrong one. Webcam. That's the one. So again, because I'm using an image stand-in and not the actual webcam, we'll have to readjust that. You wouldn't probably have to actually readjust it using an actual webcam, because it would already be the right size. So you can do a frame using just a color box in the background and then adding your sources around. Not quite as fun in my opinion. I like having the nice looking one. Bam. Gives us a little bit more to look at. Have your color differences. You can add in, like I said before, you can add in different crazy elements to that in Photoshop. And because it's a transparent background, you can lay it over your stream and over your webcam to kind of cut out different things. So that's all I've got for today, guys. Just so you know, in the future, what I'm planning on doing, I want to get a green screen behind me, and then I'm going to show you how to use that to cut out this nice little box that you see up here in the corner. Rather than, if you look in our frame here, where we have this box for a camera, what I'm going to try and do is, like I said, I'm going to get a green screen. I'm going to cut that box out around me so you just see me rather than everything else. So that's going to be upcoming. Like I said before, if you have any questions, let me know. Join us on Facebook on our Stream It group. I'm going to give you the link here, actually. Let's come over here. I'm going to get that stream link. I'm going to put it up here on our stream so that everybody can join us. And, of course, I'm going to put the link to our Stream It page. I'm going to put that in the YouTube comments or description so that everybody knows that. So I'm going to change that to our link. There's our link, guys. Join us on Stream It on Facebook. We got quite a few people already. We're brand new. We've got a few people already that are streaming constantly, myself included. I play Overwatch and War Thunder. Those are my two games. I'm still fairly new to gaming, so I've spent a lot of my time in a job. So, yeah, join us on Facebook. Let me know if you have any questions, and if you want to see me do anything else. If you have any other videos that you would like for me to make, any instructional videos, let me know, and I'll see what I can come up with. Y'all have a good one, and keep gaming.